the most dangerous enemy, is almost never the one standing in front of you. That person announces their intentions. They argue with you. They oppose you. They make their position clear. And because of that, you know exactly where you stand. The truly dangerous enemy does something completely different. They laugh with you. They celebrate your victories. They tell you everything you want to hear. They call you brother. They call you friend. They earn your trust, long before they earn the right to have it. That is why betrayal almost always feels impossible, until the day it happens. Because the knife that wounds the deepest never comes from a stranger. It comes from the hand you were willing to hold. History has never lacked enemies. Empires have fought them. Kings have feared them. Generals have prepared for them. But throughout history, the greatest collapses rarely began from outside the walls. They began inside them. One trusted advisor, one loyal companion, one respected friend, one person who already knew exactly where the weaknesses were. That pattern has never changed. It exists in governments, in families, in businesses, in friendships, and perhaps it exists somewhere in your own life right now. Not because everyone is secretly plotting against you, but because human nature has remained remarkably consistent for thousands of years. People change. Ambition changes people. Jealousy changes people. Opportunity changes people. And sometimes, success changes the people around you, more than it changes you. The Stoics never expected loyalty from everyone. They believed something far more practical. Observe people, not when life is easy, but when life begins rewarding someone else, because that is where character quietly introduces itself. Some people become inspired. Others become uncomfortable. Some celebrate your progress. Others begin measuring themselves against it. And from that silent comparison, envy is born. Not loudly, quietly, patiently, almost invisibly, which is exactly why it becomes so dangerous. Most betrayals are never impulsive. They grow, one comparison, one resentment, one hidden disappointment at a time. Long before the betrayal becomes visible, the decision has already begun growing inside the other person. That is why wisdom is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It is about becoming awake enough to notice when someone's words begin drifting away from their actions. Awake enough to recognize that loyalty proven over time is infinitely more valuable than loyalty promised in conversation. Because promises are easy. Consistency is expensive. By the end of this documentary, you will understand why some friendships were never meant to last. Why the people closest to you sometimes become the greatest obstacles to your peace. And why removing the wrong people from your life is not an act of cruelty. It is often the first act of wisdom. Let's begin. There is a strange contradiction in human nature. We spend years learning how to recognize danger. Yet almost none of us are taught how to recognize deception. Think about it. If someone walked toward you carrying a weapon, your instincts would immediately respond. Your body would prepare. Your mind would become alert. You would protect yourself without hesitation. But what if they approached you with a smile instead? What if they praised your work, encouraged your dreams, remembered your birthday, supported you when others doubted you? Now your instincts become quiet, not because the danger disappeared, but because it arrived wearing the face of safety. That is why false friendship has survived throughout history. Not because people are naturally foolish, but because trust requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is impossible without risk. Every meaningful friendship begins the same way. Someone slowly earns your confidence. One conversation becomes many. Shared experiences become shared memories. Eventually, you stop questioning their intentions. Not because you have proof they deserve complete trust, but because familiarity begins replacing observation. This happens so gradually that you never notice the exact moment it occurred. One day, they were simply someone you knew. The next, They had access to your fears, your ambitions, your failures, your private thoughts, your weaknesses, without realizing it. You handed someone the map to your inner world. Most of the time, the trust is rewarded, but occasionally, it is not, and when it isn't, the damage always feels greater than expected. Not because they knew your secrets, but because you believed they would protect them. That is what betrayal actually destroys. Not information, confidence. You begin questioning your own judgment. How did I not see it? Were there signs? Did everyone else notice something I ignored? Those questions are painful, but they are also necessary, because every answer moves you closer, not to suspicion, but to discernment. There is an important difference between those two. Suspicion assumes everyone deserves distrust. Discernment simply waits for evidence before giving complete trust. The Stoics practiced discernment. They believed that emotion should never outrun observation. Not because people are evil, but because people are complicated. Someone can genuinely like you and still envy you. Someone can care about you and still compete with you. Someone can celebrate your success today and secretly resent it tomorrow. Human beings are capable of carrying conflicting emotions at the same time. And unless you understand that, people will continue surprising you for the rest of your life. One of the greatest mistakes we make is believing that friendship automatically removes selfishness. It doesn't. Friendship reveals character. It does not replace it. A selfish person remains selfish, even after becoming your friend. An insecure person remains insecure, even after celebrating your achievements. A dishonest person remains dishonest, even while looking you directly in the eyes. Time doesn't change character. It simply gives character more opportunities to reveal itself. This is why wise people never become impressed too quickly. Not because they lack warmth, because they understand something experience eventually teaches everyone. Trust is not built by words. It is built by repeated behavior, observed over time. Someone who constantly tells you they are loyal is usually trying to convince you. Someone who is truly loyal rarely needs to mention it. Their actions have already done the speaking. And that is where the first lesson begins. Do not judge friendships by how comfortable they make you feel. Judge them by how consistent they remain when life becomes uncomfortable, because comfort hides character. Pressure reveals it. There is a sentence that sounds simple until life proves it true. Pressure does not change people. It reveals them. At first, that idea seems impossible to accept. Because when someone betrays you, it feels like they became a completely different person overnight. One week they are celebrating your success. The next, they barely acknowledge you. One day they defend you. The next, they are repeating the same rumors they once helped you silence. It feels sudden. It feels confusing. It feels unfair. But look closer. Nothing truly changes overnight. Not character, not values, not loyalty. What changes are the circumstances surrounding those things. Imagine a tree standing peacefully in an open field. On a calm day, it looks strong, stable, almost unbreakable. But when the storm finally arrives, you discover whether its roots were deep or only appeared to be. The storm did not weaken the tree. The storm revealed the tree. People are no different. As long as life is comfortable, almost anyone can appear loyal. Almost anyone can smile. Almost anyone can support you. When supporting you costs them nothing, real character only begins speaking. When loyalty becomes expensive, when telling the truth might cost them popularity, when defending you might cost them opportunity, when standing beside you means standing against everyone else. That is the moment masks begin falling. Not because people suddenly become dishonest, but because maintaining the performance has become too costly. History is filled with examples of this. Kings surrounded by advisors who praised them, until another king offered more gold. Generals who were admired by their soldiers, until fear entered the battlefield. Empires that believed their walls were impenetrable, only to discover the gate had been opened from the inside. The greatest danger has rarely been force. It has been convenience, because convenience asks a dangerous question. What benefits me the most? And for many people, that question becomes stronger than loyalty itself. This is why success changes relationships. Not because success corrupts everyone, but because success exposes motives that comfort kept hidden. Pay attention to what happens when your life begins improving, when you earn more money, when new opportunities appear, when people begin respecting you. Watch carefully. Some friends become genuinely happy. They celebrate with you, without making the moment about themselves. They ask how you did it. They encourage you to keep going. Your success inspires them. Others become strangely quiet, not openly hostile, just quieter. The compliments become shorter. The conversations become colder. The enthusiasm slowly disappears. At first, you tell yourself you're imagining it. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe you're overthinking. And sometimes, that's true, but sometimes you're witnessing envy before it has found the courage to introduce itself. Envy rarely announces itself honestly. Very few people wake up and say, "I hate seeing my friend succeed." Instead, it disguises itself. It becomes criticism, sarcasm, passive comments, small jokes that somehow always point in the same direction. It questions your decisions, minimizes your achievements, reminds you of your mistakes. Whenever everyone else is celebrating your victories, little by little, the friendship begins changing. Not because you changed first, but because your growth forced something hidden to come into the light. The Stoics expected this, not because they distrusted people, because they understood people. Human beings compare constantly. It is one of our oldest instincts. And comparison, left undisciplined, becomes resentment. Resentment becomes distance. Distance becomes betrayal. That journey doesn't happen in a single day. It happens silently, which is exactly why most people never notice it until it's already finished. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. You do not lose people the day they betray you. You usually lost them long before that moment. The betrayal was simply the first time you were finally allowed to see it. The truth is, very few betrayals happen without warning. The warning signs are almost always there. The problem is that they rarely look dangerous. They look ordinary, small, easy to excuse. That is why they go unnoticed. Think back to every major disappointment you've experienced. Not the betrayal itself, the weeks before it, the months before it. If you're honest, you'll probably remember moments that felt slightly uncomfortable. Not enough to end the friendship, but enough to make you pause. A joke that felt unnecessarily personal. A compliment that somehow sounded like an insult. A strange silence. When everyone else was celebrating your success, you noticed it for just a second, then you explained it away, because that's what people do. When they're emotionally attached, they protect the relationship, even when the relationship is quietly showing them the truth. One of the oldest mistakes human beings make is confusing history with character. You've known them for years, so you assume they deserve your trust. You've shared memories, so you assume they would never betray you. But time does not automatically produce loyalty. Sometimes it simply produces familiarity, and familiarity has a dangerous habit. It makes us stop observing. You no longer pay attention because you believe you've already figured the person out. That confidence is exactly where deception becomes easiest. Because people rarely betray strangers. They betray certainty. The certainty that says, "I know this person." Do you? Or do you only know the version they've been willing to show you? There is another sign, one that almost everyone overlooks. Watch how someone reacts when another person receives praise. Not when they receive praise, when someone else does. Most people believe jealousy reveals itself through obvious hatred. It doesn't. Real jealousy is much quieter. It smiles. It congratulates you. It even claps. But something feels Off. The enthusiasm is missing. The eyes don't match the words. The conversation changes almost immediately. Your achievement is acknowledged, then quickly redirected. Back to them, back to their struggles, back to why they deserve attention too. It seems harmless, until you notice. It happens every single time. Eventually, you realize something. Some people enjoy your company, as long as they secretly believe they're doing better than you. The moment life begins rewarding you, the friendship starts feeling different. Not because you've changed, because the balance they were comfortable with has disappeared. Another sign is how they speak about other people. Pay close attention. Someone who constantly brings you gossip is quietly teaching you how they'll speak about you. When you leave the room, most people think, they trust me. No, they're showing you a habit, and habits rarely have exceptions. A person who enjoys destroying someone else's reputation will eventually find pleasure in destroying yours. Not because you became different, because that's simply who they are. The Stoics believed character was revealed through repeated behavior, not isolated moments. Repeated behavior. Anyone can lose their temper once. Anyone can make a mistake. Anyone can say something they regret. But repeated behavior is no longer an accident. It is identity. That is why wise people never judge someone by what they promise. They judge them by what they repeatedly choose. Repeated dishonesty, repeated selfishness, repeated envy, repeated disrespect. Those patterns are speaking. The only question is, are you listening? Because the hardest truth about fake friends is not that they hide who they are. It's that they often show you exactly who they are, long before you're emotionally ready to believe them. And by the time betrayal finally arrives, it doesn't introduce new evidence. It simply confirms what your intuition tried to whisper months ago. Not every friend wants to become you, but some cannot bear watching you become more than they expected. That difference changes everything. Competition is natural. It exists in sports, in business, in education, even in families. Healthy competition inspires growth. It pushes both people forward. Neither person feels threatened by the other's progress. Instead, they become better together. But unhealthy competition looks very different. It doesn't inspire. It compares. It doesn't celebrate. It calculates. And eventually, it begins looking for ways to restore the balance. Imagine two people climbing the same mountain. At first, they encourage one another. They laugh together, rest together, celebrate every small victory. But as the climb continues, one person starts moving faster. Not because they're trying to leave the other behind. They're simply growing, learning, becoming stronger. That's when something unexpected happens. Instead of climbing harder, the second person starts hoping the first one slips. Not because they hate them, because your success became a mirror, reflecting everything they refuse to become. That is one of the hardest truths about human nature. Sometimes, people aren't angry because you're succeeding. They're angry because your success reminds them of the excuses they've been making. You become living proof that change was possible. And proof makes excuses uncomfortable. This is why some friendships begin changing. The moment your life begins improving, you start taking your health seriously. Suddenly, they laugh at your discipline. You begin saving money. Now they call you boring. You build a business. Now they say you've changed. You protect your time. Now they accuse you of acting differently. Notice something. None of those criticisms are really about you. They're about what your choices force them to confront about themselves. The Stoics believed that people often suffer, not because of reality, but because reality refuses to agree with the story they tell themselves. A lazy person tells themselves, hard work doesn't matter until someone close to them succeeds through hard work. A dishonest person tells themselves, everyone cheats until they meet someone whose integrity cannot be questioned. An undisciplined person convinces themselves, Success is mostly luck, until someone they grew up with begins succeeding through consistency. Now reality has become inconvenient. And when reality becomes inconvenient, many people don't change themselves. They attack the evidence. That evidence is you, not because you've done anything wrong, because your existence quietly disproves the story they needed to believe. This is why some people begin criticizing you only after your life starts improving. Before, your dreams entertained them. Now, your progress threatens them. The difference is subtle, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Watch how people react when you accomplish something meaningful. Some ask questions. They genuinely want to learn. Others immediately begin explaining why it isn't that impressive. It was just luck. You had help. Anyone could do that. It won't last. Listen carefully. Those words are rarely about your achievement. They're about protecting their own identity, because admitting your success was earned would require them to admit their own lack of effort. And that conversation is one many people spend their entire lives avoiding. This is why wisdom sometimes requires distance, not because everyone around you is secretly against you, but because not everyone is prepared to grow with you. Some people only know how to love the version of you that made them feel comfortable. The moment you outgrow that version, they begin mourning someone who no longer exists, and they call that change betrayal, when in reality, it was simply growth. History has a strange habit. It remembers victories. It remembers wars. It remembers emperors. But it often forgets the people who stood quietly behind them, the people they trusted, the people they depended on, the people who eventually disappointed them. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen. From the outside, his life looked extraordinary. Power, respect, influence, the authority to command entire armies with a single decision. Most people look at a man like that and assume his greatest battles happened on the battlefield. They didn't. Some of his hardest battles happened with people, because no amount of power protects you from human nature. An emperor still depends on advisors, generals, governors, friends, family, and every one of those relationships contains risk. Marcus knew that, not because he distrusted everyone, because he refused to pretend people were something they were not. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that wisdom removes disappointment. It doesn't. Wisdom simply changes how you respond to it. Marcus was surrounded by ambitious men. Some genuinely served Rome. Others served themselves. Both groups looked remarkably similar, until difficult moments forced them to choose. That is something life never stops teaching. Character is easy when nothing is being tested. Integrity is cheap when honesty costs nothing. Loyalty sounds beautiful until loyalty requires sacrifice. That is why Marcus judged people less by their promises and more by their consistency. He watched. He listened. He paid attention, not because he wanted reasons to distrust people, because leadership demanded accuracy. And accuracy requires patience. Think about your own life. How many times have you trusted someone because they spoke confidently? How many times have you mistaken charisma for character? Confidence is loud. Character is quiet. Anyone can tell you they're loyal. Anyone can say, "You can count on me." Words are inexpensive. Life is full of people who make expensive promises using cheap words. Marcus understood that actions are the only language that cannot be rehearsed forever. Eventually, every person becomes tired of pretending. Eventually, everyone reveals what they truly value. Some reveal integrity, others reveal ambition, others reveal fear, and some reveal that they were only close to you because your success had not yet challenged their ego. That realization hurts, especially when it comes from someone whose presence became part of your daily life. Because betrayal always carries two losses. You lose the person, and you lose the future you imagined with them. You imagined growing together, building something together, celebrating each other's victories for years to come. Then one decision, one conversation, one act of selfishness erases a future you believed already existed. That grief is real. The Stoics never denied that. What they rejected was allowing grief to become blindness. Marcus refused to spend his life asking, "Why did they do this to me?" He asked a better question. What does this reveal? Because every betrayal reveals something. Sometimes it reveals another person's character. Sometimes it reveals your own lack of boundaries. Sometimes it reveals that you've been loyal to someone who only enjoyed your usefulness. Truth is rarely comfortable, but truth is always useful. That is why Marcus kept returning to observation. Observe people. Observe yourself. Observe your emotions. Because the clearer your observations become, the fewer surprises life has left to offer. Not because people stop changing, because you finally learned to see them clearly. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that time automatically creates trust. It doesn't. Time creates familiarity. Trust is something entirely different. You can spend 10 years around someone and still not know who they become. When their interests collide with yours, that is why wise people never mistake proximity for loyalty. Seneca believed friendship was one of life's greatest treasures. But he also believed it was one of life's greatest responsibilities. Not because good friends are rare, because choosing the wrong ones can quietly reshape your entire life. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Without realizing it, they influence how you think, how you speak, what you believe is normal, even what you begin accepting that your younger self would have rejected immediately. Human beings absorb one another. That is why your circle matters. Not because your friends define your worth, but because they slowly influence your direction. If you spend enough years around people who constantly complain, eventually, gratitude starts feeling unusual. If you spend enough years around people who justify dishonesty, integrity slowly begins looking foolish. If you spend enough years around people who laugh at discipline, consistency begins feeling lonely. Little by little, without ever noticing, their habits become your environment. And environment is stronger than motivation. This is why Seneca advised something most people ignore. Do not become friends too quickly. Observe first, learn first, then decide. Modern life encourages the opposite. We meet someone, share a few conversations, follow one another online, and suddenly, we begin calling them a friend. But friendship was never supposed to be immediate. Friendship is earned, not through words, through seasons, through difficulty, through repeated opportunities. To choose loyalty over convenience. Real friendship survives pressure. Fake friendship survives comfort. That difference is everything. Have you ever noticed how some people disappear the moment your life becomes difficult? Not because they were busy, because your hardship stopped benefiting them. Then something interesting happens. The moment your life improves again, they return, as if nothing happened, as if silence erased absence, as if convenience were loyalty. But wisdom remembers, not to punish, to understand, because forgiveness does not require forgetfulness. You can wish someone well without giving them the same access they once had. That is one of the most mature lessons life teaches. Not everyone who leaves should be invited back. Some departures are life protecting you before you even realize protection was necessary. Many people confuse kindness with unlimited access. They believe being a good person means giving endless chances, endless explanations, endless patience. But even nature has boundaries. A river has banks. The ocean has shores. The strongest trees know exactly where their roots end. Only human beings sometimes believe that boundaries are cruelty. They're not. Boundaries simply tell people where your self-respect begins And without self-respect, friendship eventually becomes permission. Permission to disappoint you. Permission to manipulate you. Permission to slowly consume your peace, while convincing you that loyalty means enduring it. It doesn't. Real friendship never asks you to betray yourself. There comes a moment, after enough disappointment, when something inside you quietly changes. Not all at once, not dramatically, almost so quietly that you don't notice it happening. You stop expecting people to save you. You stop expecting everyone to understand you. You stop believing your peace should depend on someone else's loyalty. That moment is the beginning of freedom. Most people spend their entire lives building emotional homes inside other people. They feel secure because someone loves them. They feel valuable because someone praises them. They feel complete because someone chooses them. But there is a problem with building your peace inside another human being. People change. People leave. People disappoint. And when your peace depends on something that can walk away, your peace walks away with it. This is why so many people never recover from betrayal. They didn't just lose a friend. They lost the place where they stored their emotional stability. Epictetus understood this better than almost anyone. He began life with almost nothing. No power, no wealth, no freedom. Even his own body belonged to someone else. If anyone had a reason to become bitter, it was him. Yet he arrived at one of the most liberating ideas ever written. Never place your happiness inside something you cannot control. Think about how powerful that is. If your confidence depends on applause, you belong to the crowd. If your peace depends on loyalty, you belong to other people. If your identity depends on someone's approval, you no longer belong to yourself. That is not freedom. It is dependence, wearing the disguise of love. Real strength begins the day your emotional life stops needing constant permission from other people. That doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean refusing friendship. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care. The Stoics never taught emotional numbness. They taught emotional independence. There is a difference, a huge difference. An independent person can love deeply without becoming emotionally owned. They can trust without becoming blind. They can lose someone without losing themselves, because their identity was never stored inside another person. It remained exactly where it belonged, within them. That is why some people survive betrayal and somehow become wiser, while others become suspicious of everyone they meet. The event was the same. The lesson was different. One person concluded, "Nobody can be trusted." The other concluded, "My peace should never depend entirely on another human being." Only one of those conclusions creates freedom. The other creates another prison. You can spend years trying to predict who will betray you, trying to identify every fake friend, trying to protect yourself from every possible disappointment. Or you can build a life where betrayal no longer has the power to destroy your identity. Because once your peace belongs to you, people can disappoint you, but they can no longer define you. They can leave, but they cannot take your purpose with them. They can betray your trust, but they cannot steal your character. That is the kind of strength no friendship can give you, and no betrayal can ever take away. One day, perhaps years from now, you'll think about someone who betrayed you. Not with anger, not with bitterness, just with clarity, and you'll realize something that seemed impossible at the time. If they had remained in your life, you would never have become the person you are today. Some people leave and take your comfort with them. Others leave and make room for your growth. At first, those two things feel exactly the same. Pain doesn't announce whether it came to destroy you or develop you. Only time reveals that. Think about every season of your life. The friendships you believed would last forever. The people you couldn't imagine living without. The conversations that once felt unforgettable, most of them exist only as memories now. And somehow, life continued, not because those people never mattered, because life refuses to stop moving. There is something strangely beautiful about that. The world keeps turning, the sun keeps rising, the seasons keep changing. Whether someone stayed or walked away, nature never pauses to mourn what no longer belongs. Perhaps there is wisdom in that. The tree does not chase the leaves that fall every autumn. It simply grows stronger roots and waits for spring. Maybe that is what you are being asked to do. Not chase, not convince, not beg, not prove your worth. To people who already decided they could no longer see it. Just grow. Quietly, patiently, completely. One day, the betrayal that once kept you awake at night will become a lesson you quietly thank life for. Not because betrayal was good, because your response became greater than the betrayal itself. That is what the Stoics meant by strength. Not winning every battle, but refusing to lose yourself in any of them. And perhaps the greatest revenge was never revenge at all. It was becoming someone who no longer needed it. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about betrayal is believing it happens to destroy you. It doesn't. Sometimes it happens to reveal you. There is an old habit many people never outgrow. They spend years searching for the perfect friend, the perfectly loyal friend, the perfectly honest friend, the friend who will never disappoint them, the friend who will always understand, always support, always remain. It is a beautiful dream, but it is still a dream because every human being, including you, is imperfect. Even the people who genuinely love you will fail you, not always because they intended to, sometimes because they are tired, sometimes because they are afraid, sometimes because they are still fighting battles you know nothing about. The Stoics understood this. That is why they never built their philosophy around finding perfect people. They built it around becoming better people. There is an enormous difference. When your focus shifts, everything changes. Instead of asking, "Who deserves my trust?" you begin asking, "Am I living in a way that deserves trust?" Instead of asking, "Who is loyal to me?" you ask, "Am I becoming a person whose loyalty has value?" Instead of obsessing over fake friends, you quietly become the kind of friend whose character remains unchanged, regardless of circumstances. That transformation is impossible for anyone to steal. A dishonest person cannot make you dishonest. A jealous person cannot make you jealous. A betrayer cannot force you to become another betrayer. Only you can make those choices. And that realization returns your power. Think about how much of life changes when you stop reacting and start choosing. You choose your values. You choose your discipline. You choose your response. You choose your peace. Suddenly, other people's behavior loses much of its control over your life. They still have freedom, but so do you. One of the quietest forms of strength is refusing to become what hurt you. Many people never recover from betrayal because they slowly become the very thing they once feared. They stop trusting, stop loving, stop opening their hearts. They become suspicious, cold, distant, not because that is who they are, but because pain convinced them it was safer. The Stoics would ask you something different. What if betrayal is not permission to harden your heart? What if it is an invitation to strengthen your judgment? Those are not the same thing. A hardened heart stops loving. A strengthened mind simply learns where love belongs. That is wisdom. There is another truth, one that history repeats endlessly. The people who betrayed you will continue living with themselves. You must continue living with yourself too. So ask yourself, whose character matters more? Theirs or yours? If someone lies, that belongs to them. If someone envies, that belongs to them. If someone betrays, that belongs to them. But your response belongs entirely to you. And that response becomes your legacy. Marcus Aurelius spent years reminding himself that another person's actions never had the authority to dictate his own. That lesson remains just as valuable today, because every single morning, you will meet people who disappoint you. Some intentionally, others unintentionally. You cannot control that. What you can control is whether disappointment becomes your identity, or simply another teacher. Perhaps the most dangerous enemy really does call you friend. Perhaps you have already met them. Perhaps you haven't. But whether you have or not, never forget the lesson the Stoics spent their lives teaching. Observe patiently, trust wisely, love genuinely, forgive without becoming foolish. And above all, never place your peace into hands that do not belong to you, because the strongest person is not the one who never experiences betrayal. It is the one who remains wise long after betrayal has passed. If this lesson stayed with you, don't let it end here. Carry it into your life. Watch people, not with suspicion, but with clarity. Choose your circle wisely. Protect your peace fiercely. And remember, the strongest person is never the one surrounded by the most people. It is the one who remains true to themselves, even after losing the wrong ones, because in the end, your character is the only thing that belongs entirely to you. Guard it accordingly. Master yourself. Everything else follows.